Without parole sentences for youth is a problem.
Talk about grace. Malvo shot Paul LaRufa 5 times. But on Wednesday, the retired restaurant owner was at the Supreme Court urging a new hearing for the man who almost killed him.
Youthful offenders should have a chance at rehabilitation.
There are two phrases that are really at the center of the arguments here at the Supreme Court: transitory immaturity or permanent incorrigibility. Now, Malvo's lawyers say that he never had a chance to convince a judge that there was the potential that he could change for the better. Virginia says his lawyers presented plenty of evidence about his age. The justices have ruled twice since Malvo was convicted to prohibit mandatory life sentences for people who commit murder before they turn 18. Virginia argues that Malvo's judge could theoretically have suspended part of the life without parole sentence handed down by the jury. But Malvo's lawyers say the new precedents from the Supreme Court mandate a new hearing so a judge can consider whether Malvo is irretrievably evil. At the Supreme Court, Bruce LaShan, WUSA 9.